Hey, folks, we've got a bombshell report here from Rudy Giuliani. He has given up the names. I'm talking about some of the things that were probably in that 1023 report that are still being held out, the redacted version and the stuff that they classified because it was under investigation. Rudy Giuliani knows the whole entire story about what is going on with the Biden family and Ukrainian corruption that has been going on for years and years. He actually come out with this stuff before 2020, and nobody wanted to hear it. And it was now coming in fruition to be exposed as the truth. Now, let's go ahead and get into this video clip here. It is a little bit long. I'll cut it up a little bit just for copyright sakes. But truth be known, Rudy Giuliani gives a little bit of information up that helps kind of put this thing together. There is no way to deny uh, all these allegations coming together like pieces in a puzzle, and we're starting to see the big picture here, folks. And as far as I know, we will get some more 1023 reports later next week about more companies, more involvement, more payoffs, more bribes. Now let's go ahead and get into the video, folks. And I'm going to bring y'all a Mark Levin rant here in a little while that is just blows the doors off. He is pissed off, and I don't blame him for what is going on with the injustice of the Department of Justice going after Trump.
But I do think they've worked on several of these cases that have been very heavily criticized for highly unethical behavior. Second, he made a statement that's extraordinary. He said that in the United States, there's one system of laws, and it applies equally to everyone.
He's talking about Jack Smith's 2-minute statement that he made yesterday, one of my previous videos, about how the law applies to everybody the same. Well, we're just trying to be fair about this. Y'all didn't know, and he is the chief prosecutor on this Miami, Florida prosecution of Trump case with these 37 new possible indictment charges.
Well, of course, that's the most ridiculous, idiotic statement to make on a day in which we find out that the Bidens took a $10 million bribe from a Ukrainian, Mykola Zlochevsky, which I could have told you, and did tell them 3 years ago. And they followed up on none of the evidence I gave them. They were hoping the people would disappear or die. It's extraordinary. I gave them one witness that any investigator would jump through hoops to go to. Gave them a witness who is a woman who was the chief accountant at this crooked company, Burisma. She was the wife of the former owner who died under suspicious circumstances. And she was willing to give up all of the offshore bank accounts, including the Bidens. And she supervised the transfer of a lot more cash to the Bidens and other crooked politicians for Burisma.
Are you confident that now the House committee is going to get to the bottom of that? Because that is stunning, Rudy.
I sure hope so. I mean, the reality is that we gave it to them in January of 2020. And the Pittsburgh U.S. attorney was very interested. And then in a very strange move, Barr took it away from him.
You hear that? Bill Barr, our crooked attorney general that refused to look into anything involving the elections, who still tries to ride the fence, but at the same time, he doesn't support Trump.
Gave it to the U.S. attorney in Delaware. He didn't do a damn thing about it. And the woman was under threat of death. So we tried to put pressure on them to do something. Look, suppose she was lying. You would find out in a minute. She wouldn't have the accounts. She either has the goods or she doesn't. And it's absurd not to interview her.
1,000%.
She claimed she had bank accounts and that the Bidens got a lot more money under the table than already we had $8 million on the table that we could prove, which they could prove tomorrow if they wanted to. They could have proved it 3 years ago, Rita. They could have indicted him before he ran for president and obviated this problem. We could have found out if he was innocent or guilty in January of 2020. All the witnesses were there. And I have him on tape, like Shokin. Shokin was willing to come and testify. That's the prosecutor who will tell you he was dismissed because they wanted to fix the Burisma case. and he got fired because Joe Biden required the president of the Ukraine to do it.
I know y'all remember that case. Joe Biden on videotape says, "You're not getting the $1 billion. You're not getting the $1 billion. I'm leaving here in 6 hours. I'm 6 hours. I'm leaving, and if you don't fire the prosecutor from Burisma, you're not getting the money. If you don't believe me, call Barack Obama." And that brings me to another point. All of this that's happening is happening for a reason. They are going after Trump because Biden is becoming exposed to everybody. And eventually, Biden and everybody that has been involved in helping Biden, including Obama, who had to agree to a lot of these deals that Biden is obviously corruptly involved in. Biden didn't have the power to change policy. He still had to go to Obama to get a lot of this stuff done. And so, if not most of it. And so, they're not just protecting Biden, they're protecting the entire Biden family and the Obamas and anybody else in the Democrat Party that was involved in on this stuff. And it's all starting to come out, and it's going to come down to one of two things: either they're going to stop Trump from running somehow, and God help us if they get away with that, or Biden and the corrupt Justice Department and the FBI and a lot of the henchmen involved in this will not just be exposed, but will be dealt with in one way or another. And so it is coming down to who's going to stay out of prison and who's going to become our president. And it is a sad state of affairs that our country has got to this point. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. But hopefully by 2024 voting time, all this stuff will be resolved, at least in enough situation that we can take back our country. Let's get back into it, folks.
Actually called him 4 times in 6 days and basically hounded him to death. And you have 4 recordings, not recordings, I'm sorry. You have 4 indications of 1-hour telephone calls between Biden and the president of the Ukraine during that very period.
Wow, that
And
is
you have
stunning,
his
Rudy.
testimony. Oh, by the way, it's also corroborated by his deputy who heard most of the conversation.
So let
They
me ask
wanted
you,
to
let
come
me
to
ask you, Rudy, where do you see it going from here? Because that is explosive. You know the details obviously extremely well. Now we're finally seeing that the House committee, as you know, they just got the document.
Did you hear that, folks? 4 confirmed phone calls from Biden hounding them to fire the guy behind the Burisma investigation.
Basically tying we've heard reports it's a Burisma executive who says
Yeah, it's very
basically.
powerful.
So where do you see it going now that the House committee, and it seems like every single, at least Republican member that came out said this is a bombshell. Are you confident that now soon things will get expedited and at least it's going to get looked into?
I am. You know, Rita, I don't want to exaggerate the number, but there are a number of other revelations like that, like the one I just told you about, that are to come. So to say
I
this is
believe
the
that.
tip of the iceberg is not an exaggeration. First of all, it's a lot more than $10 million that they got. So there's a lot of money to go through yet. There are a lot of documents. There's a whole money laundering transaction of $14.2 million, which is proven by a not a Latvian, I think the document comes originally, maybe Latvia, I'm not sure, but it's a document that is on one page, a complete $14 million money laundering transaction in which Hunter Biden shared, the Biden family, and Joe Biden, there's an indication, got $800,000 of it. That document I put out in, I'd say, February of 2020, and it's on a podcast around that time.
Well, Rudy, listen, we have to get to the bottom of this. This is really fascinating. You got to come back.
Crazy stuff, folks. It is air apparent, obvious to everybody that's paying attention that the Bidens are corrupt. Our 300 agencies are corrupt to protect the Bidens. They are the people that, a lot of them are the people that are tenured in from being appointed by Obama. So they've been there 12, 16 years at this point, a lot of them. going on 16 years, and that's the people that were hired for in these on the seventh floor, for example, of the FBI. They were hired to be biased for the use of the Democrat Party, and it's showing now. They're getting exposed more and more every day, and that's all I can say about the situation. I'm glad to see it all unfold. I'm not worried about Trump going to jail. I'm more than that worried about the fact that there's no telling what ends the Democrat Party will go to in order to prevent Trump from coming back, including having all these rabid dog DAs and crooked uh, agencies working against we the people, because it's not just about Trump. It's about us not getting to pick our own leaders, and that's the bottom line. Like, subscribe, and share to Vote of Patriots. Got another video for you here directly. Mark Levin. I'll give you a little short piece of it and leave a link in the description below on that one. Everybody have a great day. Over and out.